Hi, great intro. Thank you, Matt. Hi, good evening, everybody. It's lovely, isn't it? And welcome to another Mackmyra online live tasting. Here we are.
Hi,
Gareth.
Here we go again.
Yeah, here we go again. Tonight we're going to do something we've done already, but I thought we'd cover it again. We're going to go into the Grönt Te, also known as the green tea. And we're just going to cover a little bit more in depth. Gareth's going to talk us through it. We're doing a bit of an offer on it tonight, guys. So anybody who's interested, we normally retail it on our webshop.co.uk at £56, but we're supporting Maggie's Highland Festival. So we're selling it at £59. With that, you get a free glass, a free Mackmyra whiskey tasting glass, which looks something like that, which is quite lovely. And £8 of that cost, so £8 of that goes towards Maggie's Highlands Cancer Charity. And that's in favour of this new lockdown festival that they're doing that's coming up shortly, and we're supporting it that way. So yeah, a pretty good cause. So anybody wanting to buy a bottle of the Grönt Te or the green tea, £59 free glass, and £8 of that goes to the charity for a good cause, guys. So go on to www.co.uk and get a bottle and support the charity in a worthy cause. So Absolutely. Good evening and welcome to everybody out there. I see Camille and has joined us. Nice of you to join us, Camille. Gareth, before we start, should I run a brief history review again? Should I tell them what?
Yeah. In case there's always somebody new joins every week, Shane. So yeah, give them a quick rundown and then we'll get into it.
Okay, for those guys who haven't heard it before, I'll give you the abbreviated version. So in 1998, there was 8 friends that used to go skiing. There they are, some of them. And on this particular skiing trip where they went skiing, the ski lodge was owned by one of the 8 parents. And the condition was, if they go and skiing, they clean the roof, clean the walkway, they can use the ski lodge. And the idea was the 8 friends from university would get together every year, drink whiskey and talk about the last year they've been abroad. 1998, they said, why don't we start a distillery? As you do when you're drinking a fine whiskey. Nuts. So yeah, they made an application in 1999. It was granted. It was the first whiskey distillery to be granted a license in Sweden. Anyone knows a little bit of history about Sweden. This was a huge milestone in the cause of whiskey distillation in Sweden. There are some 6 or 7 new distilleries that have opened up since then, but we were the first. So 1999, they found an old distillery in Mackmyra, a little village, and they opened the Brooks Distillery. Mackmyra is a small town, and the name Mackmyra means midge swamp or mosquito swamp. And they took the name of the village. There's the thanks, Matt. There is the picture of the distillery, which originally was an iron ore distillery. And then before they took it over, it was a power plant. So they had to convert it into a distillery. So it was a standing building on a brook, which is ideal when you're making whiskey. And they had to convert it. So they began making whiskey. And in 2009, they commissioned a new distillery based on the huge volumes that we were starting to see with Mackmyra's growth, called the Gravity Distillery in Gävle, which is about 15 kilometers away as the crow flies. It's a vertical distillery. It's the first vertical distillery in the world. It stands 35 meters high in the forest. And at the top of it, there's a bar. It is something worth seeing. It is the first in the world. Because today you can go and visit this distillery. There's a visitor center. You can see the forest warehouse. You can go see how the peating's done. You can go and see how the malting's done. It's all done on site, which is fabulous.
You can get on a plane, Shane.
Thanks for reminding me, Gareth. There was a story I heard that you were supposed to be going recently, weren't you?
Yeah, 3 weeks ago. I was all booked, looking forward to it. But it'll happen. It'll happen. We'll get there.
Look, I think it's really worth seeing. So not only did we have this gravity-fed distillery, we also are quite unique in this way, is that we needed somewhere to store the whiskies. So we used an abandoned iron ore mine where Sandvik, an iron ore machine company, used to go down and test their iron ore machinery, which is drilling equipment. Anyone knows anything about mining equipment, Sandvik is the biggest in the world. You drive into this, if you watch this video, it's 50 meters below ground, and it's about half of a kilometer drive down into this mine. And as you can see, it's a nice drop, and it's pitch black dark down there. I mean, it's a proper mine. And we store all our whiskey in this. This is our bulk warehouse. This was the mine is called Bodis, and It has 10 sort of branches or arms or outlets from it, which are all filled with whiskey. It's quite intriguing, Gareth. You know, when you drive up to that door that opens, you just get this waft of whiskey. It's incredible. You think, wow, you know, even with the windows closed, you get the smell of whiskey, and you drive into this mine. They do a really cruel thing to you. So you go into the mine, and they tell you, look, just go over there and fetch a cask, and you walk around the corner, they turn the lights off, and you can see nothing. You can't even see the hand in front of you. It's incredible.
I'll be ready for that one.
But one of the reasons we use the abandoned mine is because the humidity and temperature are pretty much constant all year round. We keep temperature around 12, 13 degrees. Humidity is very high, but it allows us for very little, what's the word, loss is marginal in terms of 2 or 3% in terms of age and tears, which is great. And it just really works for our whiskey. So down there's the bulk warehouse, and we moved the whole production from 2009. We started to close down the old production in 2012. We moved across to the new distillery, and we now do everything out of the new distillery. We've mothballed the old distillery, which was the Brooks distillery, and 2 years ago we went back and we opened it. We now do gins out of it, 2 organic gins, which are lovely. And we'll hopefully cover gins in the show too sometime, Gareth. So looking forward.
There's some new gins coming out soon, I hear, Shane.
Yeah. We're doing something very different called Ginsky, which is gin in a cask, but in a whiskey cask. And we should have some samples in the next couple of weeks. They are peated and unpeated, so keep an eye out for them. We'll certainly be doing some tastings on them. I have tried them, Gareth. I know you haven't, but I have, and the joys of being in the business longer. And they are exceptional. If you like whiskey and you like gin, or you like one or the other, potentially this is for you. And it's called Ginsky, which is a really interesting name. But enough for me talking, Gareth. I'm going to have a sip of my whiskey now, the green tea.
You have a sip. Green tea.
Tell us a little bit about the green tea.
Yeah, I'm a bit behind, but I'm beginning to catch up, Shane, but slowly but surely. So the green tea, let's talk about this in a little bit of a detail. I mean, you know, the standard classic seasonal bottle design, the great big white letters on everything, the dimples on the bottom, the symbol on the top and the bottom. What I particularly like about this little quirky bottle, though, it's got a nice little tea leaf there. I think you can just see that tea leaf there on the side of the bottle, and there's a tiny Japanese symbol. Now, when we met Angela Dorizio, the chief blending officer, the chief nose officer, we asked her what that meant, and she said, well, I do know, and I'll get back to you, but she hasn't yet, so I'm going to have to remind her. If anybody knows Japanese and can give us a literal translation,
yeah, that'd be great.
We think it might mean tea house, because it looks like a house with a dumbbell on top, but we've yet to find out. So anyway, how did this all come out? Well, Angela is a big fan of green teas, believe it or not, and she decided she was going to visit Japan quite a number of years ago, and got involved in all the culture, which obviously involved some of the whiskey, some of the food, and the green teas. And what she noticed was green tea. That's a great picture there of the tea fields in Japan. The green tea has a very similar aromatic profile to whiskies, in terms of the way that they blend them and taste them and differentiate them. And, Angela's mind's always working in a blending kind of, how can I make something of it? And that idea was born from that visit. Now, when she came back to Sweden, she sought out one of the top tea professionals, a lady called Yuko Ono, whose family is a tea maker in Japan, and she imports teas into Sweden via Stockholm. So she went and had a few meetings with Yuko, and they decided to do a collaboration. And it was remarkable about how similar their two operations were, but from two different angles. So
it's not the original Yoko Ono then, Gareth? Just so
nothing in relation to the Beatles. Gotcha. No, there's nothing about the Beatles going on here. This is green tea, and so they did some collaborations and worked out the way that they go about tasting a green tea and a tasting whiskey, and talking about how they blend them and mix them together, and they were very similar profiles. So these guys worked together, experimented for a while, and eventually came up with a list of 4 single teas, a single malt whiskey, a single tea, a single leaf. And there they are, pictures of them. And they were each picked for their own contribution to the mix. They each had their own aromatic profile, as Angela calls it. So there are 4 green teas in that list that make up the combination of the green teas. So I'm, oh, wait a minute, Mickey's saying the symbol is the kanji for tea. So there we go. The symbol is for tea. Thanks, Mickey. Thanks for that feedback. We've got people online out there listening, which is good to know. So the actual 4 whiskies themselves, I'm not going to try and memorize them. 4 teas that went into the whiskies. I'm not going to try and memorize them myself, but they're each, I'll read off the list here, but they've each got their own approach to what they bring to the story, if you like. So the Yami Sencha, which is a rich, soft and sweet green tea. That's got a very deep taste, and that's a first harvest green tea from Hoshino in Fukuoka. I think that's Fukuoka. I'm not sure about the way to say that. The next one was a Yami Gyokuro. Now, this was an elegant and sophisticated tea with lots of sweetness and umami, that savory flavor. Also a first harvest from the area of Fukuoka. The third one, Kurobi Hojicha. Now, this one is I think this one is hard to say, but this one is I guess the real spicy element. This is a nutty, round. This is one, it got a lot of flavor in this one, I'm told. And this is the first harvest from the area of Shizuoka. And lastly, the fourth one is a Machi Shinobi. And this is a rich green tea made for matcha teas, for cooking and for baking, from Hoshino. So those are the 4 teas that they decided to put together. So Angela decided to experiment first, and she did a 30-liter cask of each of the 4 teas, making up a little maceration with the tea, which is just mixing with high pure spirit, mixing the tea together in a little cask, a 30-liter cask. 30 liters, and 6 months later they were tasting it, and she was really pleased with the results, so much so that they decided to go for, I think, one of the biggest ever seasonal releases that we've ever done. 15,000 bottles have gone into this release, hasn't it, Jane? So it must have been good at that early stage, and so they ramped up and went for the full process. What they did was they took some ex-Oloroso casks, 128 liters ones, 4 of them. And in each one of them, they they prepared a maceration of each tea with a high spirit, high neutral spirit that goes in there for a number of hours, and it comes out with a spirit that captures the flavor of the tea. Now the spirit is very high at this stage; it's almost pure alcohol, so they needed to water it down. But rather than using water this time, Angela came up with a clever wheeze that she'd actually water it down with Oloroso. So the Oloroso that had been used to season these new barrels was kind of like, I guess, reused and watered down into the blend to bring it down to a level that they can actually put it into the cask. So there we are, 4 casks. They put the blends of the teas into the casks, and they left them there maturing in those casks, and the flavors going into the teas, into the wood on the outside. And then after the flavoring, they put in a 7-year-old whiskey in there and left it for 18 months to take in the flavor. So we ended up with 4 separate casks in there, and bringing them all together. So Angela then had 4 casks to play with, and in her own words, she took a whole autumn, maybe 3 months of experimentation with those 4 casks to come up with a blend of the different teas that had gone into making those casks to come up with the recipe. The final recipe, as it happened, was mostly the Yami Sencha, with a little bit from the other 3 casks just to give that blend and balance. And that mix she put together, and she mixed that probably about 25% to 30% of the final mix was from that green tea mix, and then the rest was 10-year-old whiskey that was on in the barrels there mixing, and we ended up with the bottle, and there it is. 3.5 years of effort, guys, to put that together from start to finish. It just goes to show the amount of work that these guys do behind the scenes. Incredible, and how ideas are born and how they mature into something that is pretty incredible whiskey. And so, go on.
46.1%.
Yeah, the golden number for Angela.
Yeah.
She set on 46.1 a while back for all of her releases going forward, most of them. And there we are. We're left with the Grönt Te, which was Grönt Te. I must get my pronunciation right on that. And that came out in February this year, and already picked up some gold medals in competitions. So I believe there was a competition, America Craft Whiskey Show, that we picked up some gold medals there already.
Right.
And I'm sure it won't be the last gold medals, because it truly is. It's a great idea. It's a really good parallel, and it works.
And first in the world, Gareth.
First in the world to use that. So it's another one of those exploration. What can we do to make our whiskey even better? And Angela again comes up with an absolute trump card there. So shall we have a little sloop of it, Shane?
Please.
And some nosing first. Oh,
what are you getting, Gareth? I'm getting some nuts, some honey.
Yeah, nuts, honey, vanilla.
Vanilla,
I also get the core, but the core DNA of Mackmyra still comes through. The apple and the pears. I still get that fruit note. That's very, very, very firm in there. But the spice, the mixed spice, the fruits, mixed spice fruits. So like making Christmas cake, that kind of stuff really comes through. It's got a fresh feel.
Berries on it, some floral.
Yeah. And quite grassy, maybe a bit of like a eucalyptus, it's a fresh, clean, open. And the oak sits in there, of course, and right on the end, I think what Angela picks out is particularly the notes of the kind of teas, the tannins of those stronger flavored teas. Just hint on the end there, a bit of a herbal note I get right on the end, right at the death there of the smell.
Do you know what I'm getting, Gareth? I'm getting like sort of roasted oak, roasted nuts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Very,
Yeah, that's in the middle.
Let's get this in the mouth, Gareth.
Excellent idea. So the first, it fills the mouth. It's oily, it's smooth, it's a real big mouthful, really silky. So texture-wise, really hits the nail on the head. Nice thin oil kind of coating to think, but then the flavors start to hit, and a little bit of punch with a pepper, and the spice then comes through, and right at the end, at the back, you've got that hint of a tannin of a tea. Because remember, it's only about 25% of the tea mix went into this whiskey, so it's not going to taste like a cup of green tea. And this is what Angela's trick is. She's just a master blender. She gets the balance right between the ingredients, so they're there, but they're not punching you in the face.
Michael, I agree with you. Always go back. Do you know what I get, Gareth? I get this cleansiness on my palate, and it almost cleans the palate. It's almost like a Calvados. You get that apple, that herbaceous green tea kind of. And I know it sounds ridiculous, but you get that cleanness, that cleansing of the palate. It's lovely. Yeah, it really is lovely.
It picks in, and I do agree with Steve. And Steve, Angela herself said this. So when you taste this, you go back to it, and you get different versions of the same whiskey as you go back to it. It's weird. Sometimes the mid fruity stuff hits the head, but then sometimes it's the slightly more peppery towards the end that really finishes. Yeah, peppery on the sides of the tongue, says Steve. I definitely agree with that. Like a white pepper that picks up off the back. So, but just and what I like about this kind of whiskey is what you smell on the nose is nearly 100% transferred onto the taste. There are very few whiskies where you actually keep the journey straight through. Some whiskey's got a really massive nose, and then you come to taste it, it's a bit flat, or vice versa. It's a bit flat in the nose, but you taste it and it goes kapow. This delivers what it promises on the nose, and it's just one of the most wonderful whiskies I think we've seen for a long time. And even though it's a large run, I can't see this lasting long, because it's going to be a very, very popular whiskey with the people out there.
Camille, you ask what sort of meal would you have with this? You could have most things, but a spicy curry may even work with this. The spiciness, the pepperiness. Yeah,
I think so. But I get the feeling it might go nice with a nice dessert. Actually, it's got that almost custardy, creamy, sweet taste within it, because the
like an apple crumble.
Yeah, something like just a little dessert on the side. Maybe even like a little flambe on top of it with this would be wonderful.
Or a good roast, a good white meat roast, like a pork or a.
Don't get me going, Shane.
That's the next course we do.
That's
Oh,
fine.
that's lovely.
So
Yeah.
So I don't think there's a lot more we can say about this. It's one of the best whiskies I've tasted in a long time. And when we did our first trial runs with these before it went live in February, when at a time when we could get out and meet people, Shane, and talk face to face and give them, we had a few sneaky samples, didn't we? And in Milroy's and a few other samples, we went out and we snipped these samples in at the end of the night, and
That's right.
guys were blown away by it. And but maybe about 8 out of 10 people had it as their favorite whiskey. And funny enough, it had a high appeal to the ladies in the audience. I don't know whether they got the Angela influence there, but it just has, it's not a harsh profile. It's wonderfully balanced and mixed, quite complex, but a lot going on, a lot of flavors, a lot of constituent parts have gone into this, and obviously 3.5 years worth of effort and blending to get the final result. But it's just a beautiful whiskey, beautiful.
I just wanted to say to everybody, you know, anyone who hasn't tried the seasonal range is quite interesting. We had a port cask release for Christmas called Winter Soul.
Winter Soul, beautiful.
Beautiful if you like a port cask finish. We had the predecessor for that was the Apple Bloom, which is the Calvados cask finish, which is fantastic. We did a Winterglad, which is a mulled cask wine finish, which we did for Christmas, it's very different. We did an Amarone cask, the predecessor to the Apple Bloom, which is called Grönt Te, which is absolutely beautiful. So when we finish with the seasonals, they finished. We don't remake them. You know, they have a limited time span, and when they're done, they're done. They overlap a little bit in terms of their run out, but guys, when it's finished, it's finished. So if you come across a Grönt Te or a Winterglad, it's time to buy them because we're running low on them. And if you haven't tried them, try them, guys. They are really
like the seasons, they come and they go. You'll never get them back. You'll never get that time back.
Don't start singing again.
No, not tonight.
Excuse me. Let's tell everybody about the offer we got tonight, guys. Normally, this retails on our website.co.uk for £56. We are asking £59 this week. We're going to give you a free Mackmyra glass, which Gareth and I both have. It says Mackmyra on it. It's a really nice tasting glass. And the reason for that is we're going to give £8 of that to Maggie's Highland for the Lockdown Festival, the charity that they are supporting for cancer. It's a good cause, guys. So go along, buy a bottle, give £8 for the good cause, and have a great whiskey.
Yeah, and Maggie's Highland's doing great stuff. It's a cancer charity. They reach out to guys who are isolated, and they provide all kinds of support for these guys. And at a very much needed time when a lot of people are in isolation, trying to deal with this, either themselves or their families. They've got a Just Giving page. You can go on there and donate. It's justgiving.com/fundraising/tomatin for Maggie.
All in aid of the Lockdown Festival as well.
That's right. So we're happy to be with that.
Yeah, good to be part of that, actually. Gareth, what have we got on for the rest of the week? We've got a busy week. We've got a busy May, but this week coming, we've got some things happening.
We're so busy. As usual, tomorrow night we've got a Friday with friends with Camille. But actually, it's a special show tomorrow because we're absolutely delighted to have Liam Scandrett from the WSET, the Wine and Spirits Education Trust. And Matt is the WSET is a great body that does qualifications in training in wine and in spirits. And I myself put myself on the WSET2 Spirit course in February and got through that. And quite a few of us have it. Yeah, just I only scraped through. But I got there, and these guys provide a great approach, a systematic approach to tasting spirits of any kind. And that systematic approach, so tomorrow Liam's going to do a tasting of a green tea himself using his official systematic approach.
Not only that, he's going to make a cocktail with Camille, which will be great.
We're doing a theme called Cocktails for Heroes. So we're looking for simple, quick stuff that people can do at the end of the night at a long shift when they come in. So we're going to do 2 quick, very simple cocktails tomorrow. Camille's going to do one, and then as we say, Liam's going to pop up and do one from his kitchen as well. So it's going to be an interesting show tomorrow night. And that's just tomorrow. Next week, our whiskey focus of the week is our old favorite, our longest running stablemate, the Brooks whiskey, which started to... Yeah, the breakfast whiskey. That's a legend. It's a breakfast whiskey. So we've got a couple of things lined up for that. We've got a regular Thursday night slot to talk about the Brooks whiskey and a little bit in detail around it. And then we got our Friday with Friends show. talking about maybe the history of why that's been known as a breakfast whiskey. And I think we're doing a couple of special cocktails. So a couple of extra things on the Thursday show next week. Very special announcement. I think you've seen it on social media today. We've already had somebody talk about it in. We've got our new Moment release. It's on pre-order. Get it, guys, quick before it's all gone. The UK is getting nothing. We're getting very few bottles. So it's on the Co UK shop now for pre-order. So if you want to get on there, the website's on the bottom there. Now's the time to get in there. This is a very limited run, and it's a great story behind it. I'm not going to spoil it, but please go on, find out about it. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to get this. This is never to be repeated, obviously, but there are really good reasons why this is even better than
it's called the Moment 22.
Moment 22, Catch 22 in
Catch 22. But guys, we only made 1,100 bottles, and we're only getting 80 bottles in the UK. That's it. We're not getting any more. So first come, first serve. So if you want anything, now's the time to get on there and get it.
So our next Thursday show, I think we've been joined by Lisa from our marketing team in Sweden. And, Lisa Collins. And she's going to be doing a bit of a lowdown on that Catch 22, Moment 22 for everybody who can join us, which is great. And next on Friday, we've got another special guest, Toby Field. A lot of you guys in the whiskey world and the Twitter world will know Toby. He's Whiskey Shared is his profile. And he's going to come on the show with Camille, and we're going to make some breakfast cocktails, I think. So I'm not going to spoil the story, but they're always great fun. Look out for the trailer, which will be released around about Wednesday. Camille does some great trailers, doesn't he?
He does.
For his shows on Wednesday.
I've actually I've had some input into it this week, and he's doing some crazy things, and you'd like to. I can't tell you, but there's certainly a breakfast element attached to it. It's worthwhile. I mean, this week because of the green tea, there's a sushi element attached to it, if I'm not mistaken. So he does crazy things, and it's really worthwhile, guys. If you haven't seen him, watch him. It's great. I've
had Yummy Sencha on order for a couple of days. I'm waiting for it to arrive so I can join in the cocktail make. It's great fun. I'm learning a lot. I'm a spirits guy, but the cocktail nights are great fun. They're opening up my eyes and my taste buds to a whole new set of flavors. So I thought cocktails were like you use rubbish spirit in it, and you get you mix bits of it to make it taste okay. When you start making cocktails with great spirit, now that's a completely different kettle of fish. And I'm learning so much, even at my old age. So it's never too late.
And that's 5 o'clock tomorrow. Gareth, where can they find out more information about this?
As always, on the events page on mackmyra.co.uk, we've got all the events listed there. Drop in there, have a look, see what's coming up. And in fact, if you want to catch up on missed shows, we always put them on there as well. There's an interesting archive building up of some of our greatest shows and some of our not so greatest shows, where the tech failed and this, that, and that happened. But they're all there. Have a run through them. They're great, interesting stuff. And there's a nice library if you want to go back on the individual whiskies and get an in-depth. We're putting them on there every week, and it's a nice library of information for people.
And of course, we have shows on the Sunday as well. We have a Sweden team that get involved they do cocktails on the Sunday with Tristan and people like that, other well-known bartenders. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, watch out on the Sunday shows. But all this information is available on .co.uk. If you haven't seen any, go back, as Gareth said, go and see them. Otherwise, look at our YouTube channel. They are there. Go and see them, and get involved. That's it. That's all from us, Gareth. We've done our time once again. So
we're ready. We're in there. Thanks very much for listening, everyone. We it's a chore, but somebody's got to do this stuff. Drink this great whiskey. I'm catching up with you, Shane. I look forward to the next show.
Fantastic. Thank you, Gareth. Thank you to everybody who joined us tonight. Thank you for being part of the show. Thank you for all the comments. I hope we answered some of the questions you had. If not, get hold of us on one of the social media websites. We'll all help and try and answer you. Take care, look after yourself. Don't forget to get a bottle and donate to that worthy cause. Take care, have a lovely weekend, guys, and hopefully we'll see you either later in the week or next week.
Stay safe.
Skull.